There is a disturbing reality that most decent people refuse to accept, and that refusal is the very reason they suffer. The reality is this: the most dangerous people in your life are not the ones raising their voices at you. They are not the ones declaring war. They are the ones smiling across the dinner table. They are the ones shaking your hand with a grip that feels just a fraction too loose. They are the ones who laugh at your jokes, but their eyes remain dead cold. Niccolò Machiavelli, the Florentine diplomat who stripped the Romanticism from power, understood this over 5 centuries ago. He did not write about open battlefields. He wrote about the court, the whisper, the silent gesture. He warned us that men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities that one who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. We live in an era where politeness has become a weapon. The open enemy is extinct. The hidden enemy is evolving. Civilization has forced hatred underground. Because we can no longer challenge a rival to a duel or openly banish those we despise without social consequence, we have developed a far more sophisticated arsenal, the arsenal of plausible deniability. This is the silent war. You are likely here because you feel it. A subtle friction in the air when you enter a room, a pattern of disrespect that is so slight, so microscopic, that if you were to call it out, you would be labeled paranoid. You would be called insecure or oversensitive. And that is exactly what they rely on. They rely on your self-doubt to keep their aggression invisible. But today we stop doubting. Today we turn on the lights in the cellar of human behavior. We are going to dismantle the mask of civility. We are going to lend you the eyes of a Machiavellian strategist, not so you can become evil, but so you can survive it. We will analyze 7 precise, undeniable signs that someone secretly despises you. These are not guesses. These are behavioral leaks. They are the cracks in the dam where the truth seeps through. And once you see these signs, you cannot unsee them. You will possess a form of X-ray vision for social dynamics. You will learn to distinguish between a friend who is flawed and an enemy who is patient. Prepare yourself. The truth is rarely comforting, but it is always liberating. Let us begin with the first, and perhaps the most common, act of modern warfare.
Sign number 1. The chronological insult, the delayed response. Let us speak of time. In the modern world, time is the only non-renewable resource we possess. It is more honest than money, more revealing than words. You can lie with your tongue, you can lie with your wallet, but you cannot lie with your time. Where you spend it is a confession of what you value. Therefore, the first sign of hidden contempt is what I call the chronological insult. Most people miss this. They miss it because they have been conditioned to accept the modern excuse of busyness. We are all busy, are we not? We all have emails to answer, deadlines to meet, and lives to manage. So when someone takes 6 hours to reply to a text that required a mere yes or no, or when they take 3 days to acknowledge a request, you rationalize it. You tell yourself, they are just overwhelmed. They didn't see it. They forgot. Machiavelli would slap you for such naivety. Observe the pattern. Does this person respond to their boss within minutes? Do they reply to their romantic interest instantly? Do they find time to post on social media, to comment on trivialities, to scroll through the infinite void of the internet, all while your message sits gathering digital dust? This is not an accident. This is a hierarchy. When someone delays their response to you consistently, and I emphasize the word consistently, they are engaging in a subtle power play. They are forcing you to wait in their virtual lobby. In the courts of old Europe, a king would make a petitioner wait for hours, sometimes days, before granting an audience. Why? To establish dominance, to remind the petitioner who held the power of time. In the digital age, the mechanic remains identical. By making you wait, they are subcommunicating a devastating message. My time is gold, yours is copper. My attention is a prize, your presence is a nuisance. There is a psychological term for this, micro-humiliation. It is too small to fight over. If you confront them, they will gasp in mock surprise. "Oh, I'm so sorry, I was buried in work. Now you look petty, now you look demanding." But the damage is done. You felt the sting of being a low priority. You felt the imbalance. A person who respects you respects the anxiety of silence. They understand that leaving a question unanswered is a form of negligence. Even if they are truly busy, a respectful ally will send a holding signal. "I am swamped right now, but I will get back to you properly tonight." That is respect. That is equality. The enemy, however, utilizes the silence. They let you stew in it. They enjoy the fact that you are checking your phone, wondering, waiting. It is a passive-aggressive form of control. It is a way of saying, "I control the rhythm of this interaction, not you." So how does the Machiavellian mind respond to the chronological insult? Do not complain. Never complain. To complain is to admit that their silence hurt you. It is to admit that you were waiting. That is a victory for them. Instead, you employ the strategy of mirroring latency. If they take 4 hours to respond, you take 4 hours. If they take a day, you take a day. If they leave you on read, you leave them on delivered. You do not do this out of spite. You do this out of calibration. You are re-establishing the equilibrium of the relationship. You are teaching them, through behavior rather than words, that your time is exactly as expensive as theirs. You must detach emotionally from the outcome. When you send a message, release it into the void and forget it exists. Engage in your own mission, your own empire, your own life. If they reply, fine. If they do not, fine. The moment you stop waiting is the moment you become dangerous, because a person who cannot be made to wait is a person who cannot be controlled. When they realize that their silence no longer provokes anxiety in you, when they realize you simply do not care, their tactic fails. The weapon jams. Remember this rule. In any negotiation and in any relationship, the person who needs the other less holds all the power. The chronological insult is their attempt to prove they need you less. Do not fight it with words. Prove it with your absence. Sign number 2. The semantics of deceit. The hollow compliment. If time is the weapon of the passive aggressor, then language is the weapon of the deceiver. This brings us to the second sign, the hollow compliment. This is where the amateur gets fooled and the student of human nature gets suspicious. We are biologically wired to crave validation. When someone says, "Good job," or "You look nice," our brain releases dopamine. We feel seen, we feel accepted. And because of this chemical reaction, we often fail to analyze the source. But Machiavelli warned us, one who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. A person who secretly despises you knows that they cannot openly criticize you without exposing themselves as an enemy. If you achieve a victory, a promotion, a new relationship, a personal milestone, silence would be too loud. If they said nothing, their envy would be naked for all to see. So they must speak, they must offer a tribute. But because their heart is filled with bile, they cannot offer a true compliment. Instead, they offer a counterfeit. The hollow compliment is distinct. It floats in the air like smoke. It has no weight. It dissolves the moment you try to grasp it. Listen for the generic. Phrases like, "Good for you," "That's nice," or "I'm happy for you," spoken with a flat, monochromatic intonation. These are what I call shut-down phrases. They are designed not to celebrate your success, but to acknowledge it just enough to end the conversation about it. They are ticking a box on a social checklist. But let us go deeper. Let us look at the backhanded compliment, the art of insulting you while pretending to praise you. "You are so brave for wearing that. I could never pull it off. You did surprisingly well on that project. It must be nice to have so much free time to work on your hobbies." Do you hear the venom hidden in the syntax? Surprisingly well implies they expected you to fail. Brave for wearing that implies your choice is ridiculous. Free time implies you are lazy or unemployed, not dedicated. This is the semantics of deceit. They are plausibly deniable insults. If you confront them, they will gaslight you. "Why are you so sensitive? I was complimenting you." So how do we dismantle this? How do we strip the mask of the hollow compliment? We use a technique called the forensic question. When someone gives you a vague, hollow compliment like "good job," do not simply say "thank you" and walk away. That is what they want. They want to pay the toll and move on.
Instead, stop, look them directly in the eyes, hold the gaze for a second longer than is comfortable, and ask, "Thank you. What specifically did you like about it?" Now watch the panic. A person who genuinely respects you will have an answer. "I loved how you handled the data in the third section," or "I really admire your discipline in the mornings." A person who despises you will stumble. They have no details because they weren't paying attention. They do not care about your success. They only care about appearing supportive. You will see their eyes dart away. You will hear them stutter. "Oh, just the whole thing. It was good." You have just forced them to reveal their emptiness. You have exposed the vacuum where their sincerity should be. You do not need to accuse them of lying. Their inability to answer accuses them for you. And remember the eyes. The mouth can lie, but the eyes cannot act. This is the Duchenne marker. A true smile engages the orbicularis oculi muscles, the muscles around the eyes. They crinkle, they narrow. A fake smile stops at the mouth. If their mouth is smiling but their eyes are wide and vacant, you are looking at a predator, not a friend.
Sign number 3. The architecture of exclusion, subtle isolation. We move now from the verbal to the structural. Sign number 3 is the architecture of exclusion. Humans are tribal creatures. For thousands of years, exclusion from the tribe meant death. If you were cast out into the wilderness, you did not survive. Therefore, we have evolved a deep, visceral terror of being left out. The Machiavellian enemy knows this. They know they cannot kill you physically, so they attempt to kill you socially. This is not the playground bullying of childhood where someone says, "You can't play with us." That is too crude. That is too obvious. The adult version is far more insidious. It is an exclusion designed to look like an accident. It is the gathering you find out about only after it has happened. You see the photos on social media. You hear the inside jokes referenced in the office kitchen. And when you ask, or even if you don't ask, they will offer the benevolent excuse. "It was such a last-minute thing. We didn't think you'd be free. We thought you were too busy with your project. It was just a boring catch-up. You didn't miss anything." Lies wrapped in silk. Understand this. In the age of digital communication, where inviting someone takes literally 2 seconds of thumb movement, forgetfulness is rarely the cause. Exclusion is a choice. It is a strategic maneuver to lower your status within the group hierarchy. By excluding you, they are sending a signal to the rest of the tribe. This person is not essential. This person is on the periphery. It is a campaign to render you irrelevant. They are ghosting you while you are still in the room. The most dangerous form of this is the information embargo. In a professional setting, information is power. The enemy will forget to copy you on an email. They will hold a meeting in the corridor before the official meeting starts, so decisions are made without your input. When you arrive, you feel out of sync. You are playing catch-up. You look unprepared. They have engineered your incompetence. So how does the Stoic, the untouchable mind, handle the architecture of exclusion? The instinct is to chase. The instinct is to ask, "Why wasn't I invited?" or to try harder to be liked. This is a fatal error. To chase is to confirm your lower status. It is to tell them, "I need you more than you need me." The counter-strategy is the independent stronghold. If they build a wall to keep you out, stop trying to climb it. Instead, go build your own castle. When you realize you are being subtly excluded, you must immediately withdraw your energy. Do not sulk. Do not act hurt. Act busy. Act unbothered. If they mention the event you are excluded from, do not ask questions. Do not ask, "How was it?" Offer a vague, unbothered smile and change the subject to something exciting that you are doing. "Oh, that sounds nice. I was actually tied up with Project X or personal passion. It's been absolutely fascinating." You must signal that your world is so full, so rich, and so compelling that you did not even notice their little gathering. You render their weapon useless because you are not hungry for their scraps. Furthermore, begin to diversify your alliances. The exclusion only hurts if they are your only source of social capital. If you have networks, friends, and influence outside of their sphere, their exclusion becomes laughable. It becomes the petty act of a small child closing a bedroom door while you are out exploring the world. Never stay where you are tolerated. Go where you are celebrated. And if you cannot find that place, Build it yourself. Sign number 4, the betrayal of biology. Body language and micro-expressions. Words are the tools of the conscious mind. They are calculated, edited, and polished before they leave the mouth. But the body? The body is the slave of the limbic system, the ancient emotional brain that reacts to threats and discomfort faster than the speed of conscious thought. Therefore, sign number 4 is the betrayal of biology. A person who despises you can train their voice to sound pleasant. They can train their face to smile, but they cannot train their autonomic nervous system to stop reacting to a threat. And make no mistake, to someone who hates you, your very presence is a threat. It is a biological irritant. To read this, you must stop listening to what they say and start watching what they leak. We are looking for leakage, the truth escaping through the cracks of their composure. First, observe the feet. The feet are the most honest part of the human body because they are the furthest from the brain and thus the least controlled. In evolutionary history, the feet had one job: to take us towards safety or away from danger. This survival mechanism is still active. When you are talking to someone, look down. Where are their feet pointing? If their torso is facing you, but their feet are angled towards the door, the lift, or another person, their brain has already left the conversation. They are engaging in what anthropologists call intention movement. They want to escape. If you see this repeatedly, it is not just restlessness, it is rejection. Next, observe ventral denial. Our ventral side, the front of our torso, our neck, our chest, is where our vital organs are housed. It is our most vulnerable area. When we trust and like someone, we expose this area to them. We square up. We align our heart with theirs. When we despise someone, we unconsciously protect this area. Observe the person who claims to be your friend. Do they constantly stand at an angle to you? Do they cross their arms when you speak? Crossed arms are not always a sign of anger. Sometimes it is just comfort. But combined with a rigid posture and a lack of nodding, it is a barrier. It is a shield erected to keep your energy out. And then there are the blocking behaviors. Watch their hands. When you speak, do they touch their face? Do they rub their eyes? Do they cover their mouth? These are subconscious attempts to block you out. Rubbing the eyes is the brain's way of saying, "I do not want to see this." Covering the mouth is the brain's way of suppressing a negative comment. Finally, the most dangerous signal of all, the micro-expression of contempt. This was identified by Dr. Paul Ekman as the most destructive emotion in any relationship. Unlike anger or sadness, contempt is asymmetric. It appears on only one side of the face. It is a slight tightening and raising of one corner of the mouth. It looks like a half smirk. It lasts for less than a second. If you see this, if you tell them good news and for a split second, one corner of their mouth twitches upwards before they smile, you are in the presence of an enemy. Contempt is the emotion of superiority. They do not just dislike you, they think they are better than you. So, how does the Machiavellian mind respond to biological betrayal? You do not call it out. You do not say, "Why are your feet pointing at the door?" That makes you look socially inept. Instead, you use this information to calculate your proximity strategy. If their body is screaming, "Get away," you oblige them. You increase the physical distance, you shorten your interactions, you stop casting your pearls before swine. More importantly, you trust the body over the word. If they say, "I'd love to help you," while their arms are crossed and their feet are pointing away, the answer is no. Do not bank on their help. Do not rely on their promise. Prepare for them to flake, because their biology has already told you they will.
Sign number 5, the asymmetry of investment, the effort imbalance. We now move from biology to economics. Relationships, at their core, are an exchange of value. This value can be emotional, intellectual, or practical. In a healthy alliance, the ledger is roughly balanced. You give, they give. You initiate,
they initiate. Sign number 5 is the asymmetry of investment. This is the silent killer of dignity. It is the trap where you find yourself doing all the rowing in a boat that carries 2 people. Ask yourself a cold, hard question. If you stopped reaching out today, how long would it take for them to contact you? A week? A month? Never? If the answer is never, you do not have a friend, you have a parasite. The person who secretly despises you or simply views you as a utility will never initiate. Why should they? You are doing all the work for them. You are providing them with attention, validation, and resources, and asking for nothing in return. They are operating on a model of zero cost, high yield. Machiavelli wrote, "The wise man does not rely on the goodwill of others, because goodwill fades, but self-interest remains eternal." The person who hates you is acting in their self-interest. They keep you around as a convenience option. You are the backup plan when their real friends are busy. You are the emotional sponge when they need to vent. You are the wallet when they forgot theirs. But notice what happens when you need something. Suddenly, the line goes dead. Suddenly, resources are scarce. When you need to vent, they check their watch. When you need a favor, they have a policy against lending money. This asymmetry is not accidental. It is a statement of value. They are telling you that your energy is cheap and theirs is premium. There is a specific tactic they use called the breadcrumb. Just when you are about to give up, just when you decide I am done with this person, they throw you a crumb. They send a funny meme. They give you a generic compliment. They like a photo. Just a tiny, low-effort investment to keep you hooked, to keep you on the line. Do not mistake breadcrumbs for a meal. So what is the counter-strategy? It is called the reciprocity audit. Stop. Stop initiating. Stop texting first. Stop making plans. Stop remembering birthdays. Stop asking how they are. Go completely dark on initiation. Now, wait and watch. This is not a game to make them chase you. This is a scientific experiment to measure the reality of the bond. If they reach out and ask, "Hey, I haven't heard from you. Is everything okay?" then perhaps there is hope. Perhaps they were just lazy. But if silence follows your silence, if weeks go by and the phone never lights up, then you have your answer. The relationship only existed because you were carrying it on your back. The moment you realize this, do not be angry, be relieved. You have just freed up a massive amount of energy. The Machiavellian response is to match their investment perfectly. If they give 10%, you give 10%. If they give 0%, you give 0%. You must become a mirror. A mirror does not generate an image, it only reflects what stands before it. If they offer warmth, reflect warmth. If they offer coldness, reflect absolute zero. This protects your dignity. It stops you from looking desperate. And strangely enough, it is often the only thing that earns their respect. Humans despise what is easy to get. By withdrawing your free attention, you suddenly become expensive. You become rare. And even if they never come back, you have lost nothing. You have simply stopped watering a dead plant. Sign number 6. The public undermining. The assassination by laughter. We have discussed what happens in silence. Now let us look at what happens in the noise. Sign number 6 is public undermining. This is the favorite tactic of the coward because it requires an audience to work. In private, this person might be polite or at least neutral. But the moment you step into a social circle, a dinner party, a board meeting, a pub gathering, they change. They become a performer, and you are the prop for their comedy. They will use banter as a shield. In British culture specifically, banter is a currency of affection. We tease the ones we love. But there is a razor-thin line between affectionate teasing and malicious erosion. The person who despises you crosses that line with surgical precision. They will tell a story about a time you failed, framed as an amusing anecdote. "Oh, do you remember that time James tried to fix the sink and flooded the whole flat? Classic James." Everyone laughs. You laugh because you don't want to seem like a bad sport. But underneath the laughter,
a transaction has occurred. They have lowered your status to raise their own. They have painted you as incompetent, clumsy, or foolish, while positioning themselves as the observant narrator. This is what Machiavelli would call destroying the reputation without drawing blood. They will correct you on trivial details in front of others. If you say something happened on Tuesday, they will interrupt. Actually, it was Wednesday. It does not matter to the story, but it matters to the power dynamic. By correcting you, they are subtly signaling to the group, I am the authority here. He is unreliable. And if you dare to get angry, if you dare to defend yourself, the trap snaps shut. Calm down, mate. I was only joking. You're too sensitive. Now, you are not just the victim of the joke. You are the buzzkill. You are the one ruining the mood. This is gaslighting on a public stage. So, how does the untouchable mind handle public undermining? You do not explode. You do not argue. Instead, you use the technique called the literal interpretation. Humor relies on speed and shared assumptions. To kill a joke, you simply slow it down and demand an explanation. When they make a snide comment disguised as a joke, stop the conversation. Do not smile. Look at them with a flat, curious expression, like a scientist observing a rat in a maze, and ask calmly,
Sign number 7. The strategic distance, the slow fade. Finally, we arrive at the last sign. This is the end of the road. Sign number 7 is the strategic distance. This is not a sign of conflict, it is a sign of exit. The person who despises you but lacks the courage to confront you will eventually try to erase you from their life. But they will not do it with a clean break. A clean break requires a conversation. It requires honesty. Instead, they will engineer a slow fade. They are banking on your denial. They know that if they pull away 1% every day, you won't notice until they are already gone. It starts with the quality of conversation. They stop sharing their inner thoughts. They stop asking about your life. The dialogue becomes purely logistical. What time is the meeting? Did you see the news? Surface level. Safe. Then the physical distance increases. They are always just leaving. They are always in a rush. Their body is physically present, but their spirit has checked out. This is the soft ghost. They want the relationship to die of natural causes, so they don't have to be the murderer. They want you to be the one who eventually stops calling, so they can tell themselves, well, we just drifted apart. It is the ultimate act of Machiavellian cowardice. They want the freedom of being single without the guilt of the breakup. The tragedy is that most people fight this. They sense the distance, panic, and try to close the gap. They call more, they try harder, they chase. Do not chase. When you identify strategic distance, you must apply the philosophy of the open door. If someone wants to leave your life, let them. In fact, hold the door open for them. Do not ask for closure. Closure is a myth invented by people who cannot handle ambiguity. You do not need them to explain why they are leaving. Their departure is the explanation. When you sense the slow fade, you execute the preemptive release. You stop reaching out entirely. You mentally archive them as past. You do not block them. You do not delete them. That shows emotion. You simply render them irrelevant. If they ever come back, usually when they need something, you treat them with polite indifference. You are courteous. You are civil, but you are inaccessible. You are like a museum exhibit behind glass. They can look, but they can no longer touch.
Conclusion: the untouchable mindset.
We have traversed the dark landscape of hidden hatred. We have seen the delayed response, the hollow compliment, the subtle exclusion, the betrayal of biology, the effort imbalance, the public undermining, and the strategic distance. You now possess the lens. You can see the matrix of social deception. But knowledge without action is merely trivia. The question remains, what do you do with this power? Do you seek revenge? Do you attack them? No, that is what a weak man does. A weak man reacts. A strong man transcends. The ultimate Machiavellian victory is not destroying your enemy. It is rendering them inconsequential. It is reaching the level of self-mastery and success where their little games, their snide comments, and their hidden envy cannot reach you. Think of a lion. Does a lion concern itself with the opinion of a sheep? Does a lion lose sleep because a hyena laughed at it? The lion does not hate the sheep. The lion barely acknowledges the sheep exists. This is the untouchable mindset. From this day forward, when you see these signs, do not feel hurt, feel powerful. Because you know the truth, you see the mask. And the moment you see the mask, it loses its power to fool you. Take your energy, every ounce of it, and reinvest it into your mission, your body, your bank account, and the few genuine allies who have proven their loyalty. Build a life so magnificent, so undeniable, that the hatred of others becomes the background noise of your success. Let them hate, let them whisper, let them plot. You have work to do. If this analysis has sharpened your vision, if you are ready to stop being a victim of deception and start being a master of your reality, make yourself known. Scroll down to the comments and leave this declaration: the mask no longer works. Let that be your signal to the world and to yourself. For those who wish to go deeper into the psychology of power, subscribe. Turn on notifications. We are building an army of the awake. Stay cold, stay sharp, rise alone.